This video is probably not going to get a lot of viewers, which is why I used an Ushikushi thumbnail of a fallen angel. It makes people click. I want to talk about morality. And I want to talk about moralities because a lot of people on Twitter are calling me a moral relativist. Because I don't accept the concept of universal morality. And I don't accept it because I don't see it in the world. No two nations have the same morals. There's a lot of things that are acceptable in Romania. Like, for example, being a racist. Although now it's not as acceptable as it used to be. And this would be completely unacceptable in France. Right? So I'm not satisfied with the universal morality. Like, I can't actually apply this when trying to understand the world. And so I thought about it. And I also don't accept the idea of moral relativism. The idea that, like, all morality is valid. So the question is, like, what is left? If both of these answers are unsatisfactory, then what is morality? And so I came up with my personal interpretation. There's no university professors, no scientists, no doctors in the lab coat that influenced me. This is just my observation over talking about politics for the last decade. And I want you guys to peer review me. I want you guys to debunk what I think morality is. Not what it should be, not what it can be, but what it actually is in the world. Before I begin, I also need to explain a concept, that of the cathedral. The cathedral is the institution that encompasses the people in power in a society. And these people can be influential people, like religious leaders. It can be extremely wealthy people, like CEOs, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk. It can be the people actually holding power, so politicians and people from the deep state, right? Like the bastards behind the bastards. Rarely, but it can happen, insanely popular influencers, very charismatic people that shape public opinion just by existing. The bankers, very important, the bankers, one of the most important members of the cathedral because they're financing all of this. People from the academia, journalists from the mainstream media, right? Media moguls. All of these people are part of the cathedral. And they're constantly negotiating morality in order to maintain and justify their power. So they will use anything they can. They will use tradition when it's convenient. They will use religion when it serves their interests. They will use ethnicity when they need to set boundaries or when they need to make the boundaries disappear. They will use physical force when necessary. They will use constraint in order to force compliance. And this negotiation is constantly ongoing because power shifts and the cathedral needs maintenance. This is why, for example, in the past, to deny the existence of God was punishable by death. And why today, to castrate children because they identify as a woman is the correct thing to say. It's the negotiations that happen between the people in power at the cathedral. Now, this is not moral relativism, because understanding the difference between what I just said and moral relativism matters. Moral relativism would claim that different cultures have different but equally valid moralities, and it still treats morality as real as a cultural variable. You discover moral truth with your culture, even if other cultures discover different ones. This is false. I'm not saying that they're equal, because the people in power from Brazil are not equal to the people in power from the United States. They have different interests. They're different people. And so the morality that they produce is just as unequal as Bolsonaro is unequal to Donald Trump. They may have similarities. They may have like certain applications that are practical and pragmatic. And so like you will find the same things in America that you may find in Brazil when it comes to certain aspects of morality. But they're different. And of course they're not equal, because America and Brazil aren't equal. So my theory is that morality is a tool that power uses to maintain itself. When slavery was legal, the powerful built moral arguments for why it was right. Didn't matter if they're Christian, didn't matter if they were Muslim, didn't matter if they were Jewish, didn't matter if they were part of the Roman Empire. They built morality to justify why slavery was right. And when it became untenable, when the Brits developed the Industrial Revolution and realized that they can dominate the world by making slavery illegal, they can crush the Portuguese, they can cripple nations that rely on slavery. That's the pragmatic reason. They constructed the moral framework, the moral arguments, and they pushed for that and they enforced that so that they can eliminate slavery from the world. I'm not saying that people didn't believe that it's right to eliminate slavery. What I am saying is that the slavery abolishment happened when slavery wasn't needed. When a nation actually had the industrial capability of producing mass goods without the need of enslaving people. And then they exported that morality to everyone else. And so why is my tool a lot better than to embrace universal morality as a concept or relativist morality as a concept? Well, it's because a moral relativist, right, he would think that all cultures are equal. A moral universalist would believe that his morality has always existed, will always exist, and is the best. While someone that is like me is going to constantly ask himself, who benefits from me believing this shit? And it's especially true when some people like really want you to believe something, and they're not part of your family, they're not part of your circle of friends, but like they insist vehemently that you respect the pronouns or something like that. And you have to wonder, who benefits from me believing this shit? Who is the person that's telling me to believe this, and who is to gain from me acting in a particular way? And then you can trace it all the way back to the cathedral, and you can see why people are pushing the things they're pushing, who's benefiting, and what their interests are. Like, for instance, when you look at woke morality, where did it come from? Well, it came because Americans were protesting against Wall Street. You had left-wing people and right-wing people uniting, creating their own morality. It's like, we're the 99%. We're coming to tear down the 1%. Like, you guys are stealing from us. You're robbing us. And they created an in-group versus an out-group. And so the cathedral created the woke morality to destroy the unity of the American revolutionaries that were trying to fight against the banking system and Wall Street. Sometimes the morality that the cathedral creates is designed specifically to create factions within society. Just like when you look at the Californian prison, which has enough prisoners to overthrow the guards, and many guards would flat out say that the gang leaders are the ones actually calling the shots out of prison. Like, riots happen when they say it happens. Lockdowns happen when they say it happens. And so what the guards do is that they segregate the prisoners. They encourage morality based on race, based on religion, based on the crimes committed, in order to maintain the prisoners fighting against each other so that they don't fight the guards. And so, again, morality is a constant negotiation. This is why the morality we have today is different than the one we had 50 years ago. And why it's going to be different than morality we have 30 years from now. And why the morality from America is different than the one from France and the one from Italy. It's because the people in power, they're into constant negotiation, and it's shaped by tradition, religion, ethnicity, physical force. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a different morality coming up that resonates with the people at the time, if it's going to immediately be suppressed and crushed. And you can see this happening, right? Like the power of the cathedral. The best example that I have is during COVID. During COVID, the cathedral told people that it's no big deal. It's not a plague. It's just like the sniffles. And if you're concerned about it, you're racist. A lot of people forget, but when Donald Trump is in power, this was the narrative the cathedral used. And then Donald Trump doesn't remain in power, and immediately the hysteria gets ampled up. It's like, no, it's actually the Black Death. It's something that requires everyone to shut down their businesses and live like we're in China. right? Like all of a sudden, that's the acceptable morality. If you don't accept that, you get ostracized by society. There are tangible negative effects happening to the people that are considered immoral. They are treated exactly like heretics used to be treated back in the old days. That's what morality means. It means comply and you get included in society, right? You get all the warmth and all the compassion and everything that a human being deserves. Be against it and you're treated like a heretic. You get ostracized. You're not a human being. You're a piece of shit. Of course, the problem is, like, when you ostracize a lot of people, eventually they create their own communities and an alternative morality built by the strong individuals, the cathedral that they're starting to build. And this is why it's actually difficult to maintain and why the cathedral constantly renegotiates, constantly adjusts. This is why we constantly have a flow of morality, which is also different than the ideology that morality is a straight line. And so, like, we're advancing down the morality tech tree. No, we're not. And this is why I don't believe, like, morality is universal. Like, it's stagnant. Like, it always was this way. Like, there was a correct way of doing things in the year 1200 before Christ, right? Where you have, like, a small society with very little technology. They could operate it basically with the same moral frameworks that we have today. When societies can have billions of people, like China, right? And issues are complex. It's one way to rule a kingdom, and it's another way of ruling a society built on systems, on corporations, on international trade, right? Like, you need a completely different framework to even address that and to also assure compliance, because it's not enough to just have morality. You also need to make sure that people follow said morality, right? So that's my take. I'm actually curious to what people will say, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.